What's good, everybody? We back. Today's a little bit different. We're going to talk about his Cowboys. He's a Cowboys expert, as he calls himself. We're going to let him, you know, give you a deep dive of what he thinks is going to happen going further. Probably a lot of contract things I have no clue about just because I'm not a Cowboys fan, never will be. From Philly, don't like Philly either, though. I'm a loser, I guess. Anyway, we're going to start off hot with Mike staying, or is he getting fired? Mike McCarthy, that
Mike
is.
McCarthy. Let me preface this by saying a couple of things. I've heard two different sides of this argument. Obviously, the McCarthy fired and the keep McCarthy. Okay. And my perspective on it is this. If you're on team keep McCarthy, you're what's wrong with the Dallas Cowboys fan base. Genuinely. Okay. We look at what we came from before McCarthy. We're looking at Jason Garrett as the head coach for, God, I mean, it seems like forever, 8+ years maybe. That guy got so much more patience than he deserved from Jerry Jones. Jerry was so loyal to that guy for whatever reason, mediocre season after mediocre season, no playoff wins to speak of, with some of the most talented Cowboys teams there have ever been, with Romo and with DeMarcus Ware and all them, T.O., right? And we look at those Jason Garrett teams and we're like, why are we so patient? Why was our front office so patient with him? And I think the people who are on Team McCarthy have just grown stale, and they've grown too patient, and we've grown too much like, I don't know, the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? They're just trying to figure it out. We're the Dallas Cowboys. Our standards are different. When you get hired to be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys, it comes with a lot of pressure. Now McCarthy's been here. This is his third or fourth year. It's been 12-5 every single season. That's great. Awesome regular season. Okay. But it's been one playoff win in that time. We've only seen the second round. We've only sniffed the second round one time. It's just not acceptable, dude. It's not acceptable. And he's gotten enough time to make the team what he needs to make it, to try to, get his fingerprints all over this team, if you will, to draft the way that he wants to. He's had time, and it's not come to anything. This was supposed to be the year that, we take the step, we get past the second round, maybe to the NFC Championship, heaven forbid the Super Bowl, and he's missed the mark. I'm on Team McCarthy's got to go, because when you're a fan of the Dallas Cowboys and the team plays like this, someone's got to pay the price. Someone has to pay the price, and unfortunately, it's got to be McCarthy. That
So
said,
when
go on, sorry.
when we're talking about McCarthy going, who do we want to see coming in?
I actually love that question. If there's a year to replace your head coach, I think this is the year to do it. We've got big names coming out. We've got Belichick, obviously. He's got a relationship with Jerry Jones. Belichick comes from a winning culture,
Yeah,
right? We've got Jim Harbaugh's name from Michigan, keeps getting thrown about. That's a winning culture coach, right? Pete Carroll, another winning culture coach, right? And there's even some sleeper coaches available like Mike Vrabel. I'm a Mike Vrabel guy. And that's maybe the type of hard-nosed style of coaching this team needs. At this point, if McCarthy goes, and he should go, we need to be looking at one of those coaches. I think my favorite out of them, I would love to see Harbaugh first, I think. I think Harbaugh has the nose to be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And I think second, I'd like to see Bill Belichick. I think there's a little bit of an argument to say that maybe since Tom Brady's gone, the game has passed Belichick on, but Belichick would be a total Cowboys hire. Like, that hire makes a lot of sense to I think it would make sense to some of the fan base for sure.
and with him or Harbaugh coming in, what do you expect to see?
I well, once the coaching thing is figured out, I mean, Dan Quinn, obviously, like I said, like I mentioned in the podcast previously, he's going to be gone anyway. He doesn't need to be fired, even though he should be fired for his defensive play calling performance against the Green Bay Packers this past weekend. He'll be gone anyway. He's taking calls already from Seattle. I think that's a primary spot that he'll be, because he has roots in Seattle and the Legion of Boom. I could also see him winding up in in LA as the Chargers coach. That's a good defense right there. He could take control of, but he needs to be gone. I think more specifically, when we talk about what happens next after a coach is figured out, you have to talk about Dak Prescott. That's got to be the next discussion. Okay.
I was with
And
that.
and man, the Dak Prescott conversation for me has been so up and down. Obviously, last year with his horrible regular season and playoff performance, I mean, I was off the Dak train for sure. And I have to admit, he had me fooled this regular season. I was back on the train again. I was back, dude. Dude, 36 touchdowns, 9 picks. I was battling people saying Dak MVP stats, right? I was that guy. And we walk into the playoffs and he just tanks and he just pisses down his leg. And he gives the memeable deer in headlights face on the sideline. I mean, I just can't stand it, you know. We got to have a guy that's going to come into those big game situations and take control. And I hate to say it, it hurts my heart because I think Dak is a perfect Dallas Cowboys quarterback in every other way except for actually playing football. The guy is not the type of guy to take control and be an actual leader in those moments. I think he's a pretender. We see all those time, you know, he's dapping up his teammates. It's here we go, right? He's supposed to be this motivator. I think he's just putting his best face on. I don't think he actually has it in his blood. It might be time to move on from Dak Prescott. Now, that said, before the playoffs started, there were rumors on a crazy Dak Prescott extension, right? Some 60 million, whatever, a year, highest paid quarterback in the league type of extension. He's blown that. He's blown that with this playoff performance and continuously showing up short in the playoffs. If he gets this contract from Jerry Jones, I am going to be a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. I just can't. I just can't, man. I will leave. There's no way. Hot take. I will be gone, bro. Listen, there's a couple ways to handle this, okay? He has technically still got 1 year left on his contract, that being next year. If they keep Mike McCarthy and they're going to say, "Hey, we're going to keep McCarthy, we're going to run it back with Dak as well." You're looking at a team where Dak is the leader. He's got to be playing for a contract. We cannot extend him based off of his performances now. Because if we're basing off his performances now, he shouldn't sniff highest paid quarterback in the league. He shouldn't sniff it. He's a mid-tier guy. There's just no way. You put him in a pressure situation and say, play for it. Win some playoff games and prove that you owe me, that we owe you the contract that you want. I will be livid if they give him that contract. Now, there's another world where we say Dak Prescott is not the guy, and we know he's not the guy starting now. And we look at one of these mid-tier meddling teams, you know, a team that thinks maybe they're close and just needs a quarterback. I don't know, the Vikings kind of come to mind. I don't know. I haven't thought about it too much. There could be a bunch of different teams. You go and you reach out and say, what do you think about Dak? And we're just going to need some picks. We're going to need some draft assets, some offseason capital. And you move them. And you just move him. And Cooper Rush isn't the answer behind him. We all know that. You know, he's a serviceable backup. But we did get this guy named Trey Lance for a 4th-round pick from San Francisco. And while I'm not convinced that he's got what it takes, he's young. He's got some natural talent. He's got some legs. I wouldn't mind giving him a shot at this point.
Why did they make that trade?
Because it was easy. Because of a situation like this. Maybe they foresaw a situation like this where we're talking about Dak Prescott not making it happen again. And then we just throw up. If we don't have Trey Lance, we just throw our hands up in the air. Like, we don't even know what we're going to do from here on. You know, at least now there's an option. We have an option behind him.
No, I don't recall you mentioning it. Could be going stupid. But if they do run it back with Mike and Dakota, what do we see? Like next season in the future.
So I think I've made this clear. I do not want this happening.
Right.
At least one of them has to go, if not
Right.
both, right? Hypothetically speaking, though, if they were to keep both McCarthy and Dak and say, hey, we're going to run it back, there's some things that need to be answered on the books, right? We've got expiring contracts left, right, and center. Most notably, we've got our perennial Pro Bowl left tackle, Tyron Smith. He's on an expiring deal right now, and I don't know that we can afford to pay that guy again. There's a decent chance that he walks. We've got expiring contract, former defensive player of the year, Stephon Gilmore. I don't think we re-sign him again. Not to say that I wouldn't love to have him on the team. I just don't think it's in the cards, right? And so if you're going to keep McCarthy and you're going to keep Dak, there are other notable expiring contracts as well. You're going to have to go into the offseason, into free agency, and you're going to have to go into the draft with a crazy plan. Now, I think one of McCarthy's biggest regrets this past season is we never established a good run game. Never. I mean, Tony Pollard's down in yards per carry. I think this is, he reached 1,000 yards, but it took him way more carries than it did last year, sharing time with Zeke. I think with the departure, the probable departure of Tyron Smith, if McCarthy stays, there's a good chance that we go big offensive line in the draft. Tyler Biotic is another guy at center. Terrence Steele at right tackle. That dude's a turnstile. He just lets anybody into the backfield. These things need to be addressed, right? If McCarthy's going to be given a fair shake, he's got to be able to establish a run game. Now, Tony Pollard is also one of those guys on an expiring contract. You're going to have to, you can't sign free agent running backs anymore because it's just like you're just not getting the value at that position, paying that type of money. And so we're going to be looking probably, because we don't have a 4th round pick, probably as a 3rd round pick or something like that. We've got to be looking for some sort of playmaking running back. This is hypothetically if McCarthy chooses to stay. Or, well, I guess, hopefully it's not up to him. I say chooses. Hopefully Jerry Jones makes the right choice here. But that I see a world where that running game, the offensive line, and the running back position need to be addressed if he's going to be successful. I also see a spot where when I look at these stats over the course of the season, I see a heavy CeeDee Lamb usage with 130 catches. I see heavy Jake Ferguson usage, right? Good amount of quality coming from the tight end spot. And I see Brandon Cooks, our second wide receiver, picking it up in the second half of the season. Outside of that, our receivers are no-shows. Turpin has some utility with his speed and stuff. He gets used in different ways. But as a third wide receiver, it's like we don't really have one. Michael Gallup was a no-show the entire year. So are we coming out in strong under center formations with 2 wide receivers the whole year with Cooks, Ferguson, and CD? Or is Dak ever going to be in shotgun with 3 or more receivers? If so, Gallup's not the answer. Tolbert's not the answer. You have to draft another receiver, or you have to pick up a good veteran receiver in free agency. You can't just have that type of drop off between receiver 2 and receiver 3. It's just too big a difference. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed too if McCarthy stays.
What was I gonna say? I don't know. So running back wise, like you said, you want to sign one, and you don't know about Tony P. Is there any draft or running back you're looking to draft or?
I haven't. Look, we were just in playoff mode only a few days ago. I have to admit, I've not looked into. Outside of the big prominent names in this draft, like the Marvin Harrisons and the Caleb Williams, obviously, I haven't done my draft deep dive. I will be doing that in order to build a Cowboys draft board at some point. But no, I don't have any names for you. I just know we have needs. Now,
wide receiver wise, do you have any? Not it doesn't even have to be draft wide receiver targets. I mean, free agency targets or even trade targets. I don't know. Whatever you guys are thinking.
I don't have names for you again, but I do have a style of wide receiver that I would like to see put on the team. I think Dak is a fan of big targets, right? It's why he loves Jake Ferguson so much. It's why he goes to his tight end so frequently, right? The Brandon Cooks thing, it took Brandon Cooks an entire half season to catch on with Dak because Brandon Cooks isn't really a Dak type of receiver. CD fits the bill. He's 6'2". I think with CD being more of a slot type of receiver, obviously they move him around a lot, but he's primarily used in the slot. I think a receiver that comes in, it needs to be prioritized. That player needs to have a big frame. We're talking 6'1", 6'2" plus. If you can bring a big frame boundary wide receiver into the Cowboys, who's that?
Mike Evans.
The Mike Evans types, the T. Higgins types, those guys I think would be perfect fit for Dak. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually really nice. I like that.
I do want to talk about my ideal situation here in the offseason. I think I'm trying not to feel so impulsive about this because I am kind of like an emotional wreck after this game. I'm going to be honest. With our standards not being met, I had that little rant or whatever. I still feel very strongly about that. People have to pay the price. I think in a perfect world, obviously McCarthy leaves. We get a new coach, Harbaugh, Belichick, whoever it is. And then, man, I'm just not sold on Dak. Even there's a new coach, I'm not sold on Dak. We just can't have this level, right? And so my thought goes, I'm almost at the place now where I could be patient for a rebuild. I could be patient for if Jerry Jones announced, hey, everybody is being held accountable and they're all gone. I'm like, okay, cool, awesome. Maybe my standards will be met as a Cowboys fan. Awesome. Got to get McCarthy out of there, get Dak out there. Okay. Now, hypothetically, if in a world where that happens, we talked a little bit about Trey Lance, but I'm drafting a quarterback. Now, maybe not in the first round, maybe not in the second round, but I'm bringing a guy in that could compete for the starting job against Trey Lance, right? I personally don't believe a guy like J.J. McCarthy is going to be a super high draft pick. That's a guy that I could see falling a little bit. I have to double check my draft boards and the mock drafts and stuff like that. But I don't think I think he's kind of a sleeper guy, to be honest, even though he's had some college football playoff success. Someone like that could come in and compete with Trey Lance. You got the kid from Florida State. Gosh, what is his name? I can't remember his name, but he's got a lot of natural arm talent. I don't see him being projected as a very high draft pick. I think that's a guy that could come in and compete. I think we let these contracts expire that are expiring. We take Tyron Smith, we let him go. We say goodbye. Hey, great career. We love you. We'll hang your name in your number in the rafters, and we let him walk. You know, and you just build around, and you pay CeeDee Lamb on the offensive side. You build around and you pay Micah Parsons on the defensive side, and you build something great, right? You trade Dak, you get some draft capital back for the next couple of years, and we just have to rebuild, man. We have to get some playmakers on both sides of the ball and give a quarterback the opportunity to win the job. I think most Cowboys fans, if not all that I've talked to, are coming in here saying, "I'm so tired of losing. It's been a lot of Cowboys fans, our younger audience. You guys have seen the Cowboys lose maybe the last 20 years or whatever the case is. I turned 34 in a couple weeks, dude. It has been it'll be 28, 29 years since we've done anything. And we're talking about being America's team. It's just not cutting it, man. Give up the moniker or act like it. That's it, dude. You either give it up, give it to the Chiefs or something. Shoot, they're acting like America's team. Give it to the Chiefs or act like it and start holding people accountable and rebuild the way that we're supposed to rebuild. That's all I got. Unless you have any more questions for me, Dom. My rant's over, dude.
I'm gonna be honest. This is gonna be a little bit longer, just because of what I'm gonna mention. You're gonna probably rant about.
Oh no.
I know you really wanted to touch up on, and I guess you forgot, Jordan Love with what he was doing. So,
yeah, man.
there
Yeah.
you go.
Okay, so look, yeah, I've got a lot to say about Jordan Love. Okay, let me preface my Jordan Love take with saying,
Yes,
he's been very impressive. His play,
he's
he
smart.
started
Yeah.
off a little rough. He was kind of shaky in the beginning of the season. He's caught on these last 8 games, and especially in the playoff game against us. The guy looks like he can play the quarterback position, right? He's a first-year guy. You kind of take your bumps on the nose, and you take it on the chin, and you move on. And I think his progression, especially, sitting behind Aaron Rodgers and learning from him, I think he's been very impressive, right?
And man,
Now,
he's amazing.
that said, I know the Jordan Love hype is going to be unreal after that game.
Yeah.
I think he's a good quarterback. Do I think he's good enough to openly mock the Dallas Cowboys on the last play of the game? No. And if you're unaware about what's happening, the stupid, here we go, the Dak thing, right? Jordan Love walks out on the field. He's ready to take the final knee of the game, run the clock out. They do their little, approach to the line, and he goes, "Here we go," in an open mockery of Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. And while I sit here and I'm telling you, we probably need to let Dak Prescott go, while he's still in Cowboys uniform, I still have to stick up for him. And at this point, I don't know who Jordan Love is or who he thinks he is, but we don't sit here and we don't mock. You haven't done enough in the league to be openly mocking teams, dude. And that type of behavior, it gets remembered. It gets remembered. And I'm not sitting here saying, "Oh, I actually am. I am sitting here saying we're going to keep receipts and we don't forget that type of stuff. And next time we see it, right, I expect things to be a little bit different." But I think he's going to get absolutely humbled. And I mentioned this in the podcast this week. I think he's going to get absolutely humbled against the 49ers. There will be none of that, dude. Yeah, you're not Aaron Rodgers, at least not yet, right? You're not Mahomes. You're not one of these guys that's accomplished a whole lot to walk in here and start gut punching some of the most respectable franchises in the NFL. You're not that guy. You're not that guy, pal. Let me just put it to you like that, okay? And and you know what? As it stands right now, maybe he shows up against the Niners. Maybe they make a run, but probably not. But probably not. You were everybody's hero because you beat the Dallas Cowboys. And let's be honest for a second. When the Dallas Cowboys are on TV and you're not a Cowboys fan, you're hoping and you're praying that they lose and it's your Super Bowl when they win, when the other team beats the Dallas Cowboys, right? And so him doing that with an open mic, knowing everyone to hear it, he's just clamoring for the entire NFL, bro. He just wants to be somebody's hero. He wants that notoriety. That was an obvious look at me attention getting move, right? You want to flex on us? You want to be in the game? You want to be passionate? You want to make a big play and cheer and spike the ball, bro? I'm all about that because it's impulsive emotional reaction off of a big play. But to wait until the end of the game and then do the here we go mockery thing, dude, it's just low level, bro. Why don't you talk your shit before the game? I didn't hear anything from you before the game, right? If you were that confident, we would have heard the mockery on the first snap of the game, not the last one, right? I don't get down with that, dude. I don't get down with that. That's not MJ level. MJ would never do that. MJ would start before the game started or at the beginning of the game. That type of stuff, dude, it's just Bush League to me. Anyway, we've got a lot, man. We've got a lot to worry. It's going to be an interesting couple of months for Cowboys fans out here. That's for sure. And we're all sitting on the edge of our seats waiting on Jerry to make decisions.
When people say get your popcorn.
Here it is.
Yeah, I was excited for it. You see me munching on the popcorn.
Man, yeah, well, we need to get our popcorn ready. That's for sure. There need to be fireworks. We need to see fireworks this offseason, right? If we don't have the cojones to fire McCarthy and Dak, you better be making damn sure you're finding ways to get some more weapons in here. I better see Devontae Adams on the Dallas Cowboys next year, just straight up. With the issues that they're having in Vegas and him wanting to compete, I want to see Devontae Adams out here if you're not going to make the changes we want. Oh, stop. It's not. Listen, man. But that's the thing, right? Because if they don't fire those two guys, they're saying we think we can still compete for a Super Bowl. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So if that's what you're saying, then show me, right? Make the roster moves that are appropriate to make a Super Bowl run. And if you don't, then you're just, I don't want to curse, but you're bullshitting. You are. I'm sorry. I had to say, you're not pandering to your fans, right? And you're just wasting another year. It's like you're trying to get to 30 years without doing anything in the playoffs. I just can't, man. Yeah, my heart rate's up. My blood pressure's going. My arthritis is kicking in. Okay, can we be done, please?
I know how to calm you down.
I know. Gosh, man.
Baker Mayfield or Baker?
Baker may throw an interception. Or Baker may end the Philadelphia Eagles season. How about that? At least we have that.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up. You've only heard my voice in, what, now 3 episodes now because did the one last week, we're posting one today, and then this one again. You haven't heard me much. Football, not that great with it. So I let them do their ranting.
But you're coming along.
Now, Thursday, we're going to talk some basketball. And man, do I have some stuff to get off my chest. Because I can't stand you 76ers fans. Can I say something, Paul?
Go ahead, spit.
It's a little bit explicit. Can I say it?
Go nuts. Go nuts. I did.
I can't do it.
Woo. Next pod is going to be.
Hate 76ers fans. Fucking hate 76ers fans. Joel Embiid is not who you think he is. That's all I'm going to say. We'll save it for Thursday. Jokic better. Jokic on top. I hate the Sixers and you fans. You all suck. Whatever, Jokic on top, Nuggets on top. He got a ring, got more rings than Joel Embiid. He got more MVPs. He got more conference finals MVPs and more finals MVPs. Fuck out of here. Free throw merchant, he sucks. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for your time. Love you all. Peace and love.